Hello, good afternoon, guys. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Welcome to the live video. Oh my gosh, I think that I should start actually scheduling when I will go live so that you guys can anticipate the live videos. But my schedule is a little hectic and all over. Well, it can get a little hectic. So I prefer to come on live spontaneously. So, yes, hopefully you guys will catch me on live when you see me. Good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to the live video. Today we're going to be spilling the tea on the latest news that USCIS came up with. And please don't forget to like and follow our page, Poku Law. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, to subscribe and like the video and all of that. So let's jump into it. I'll be sharing my screen. Welcome, guys. Drop me your comments and just drop me comments to show me that you are here with me. I'll be reading comments very soon. So that's the screen we are sharing today. Okay, so this news came out 24th. So that was maybe 4 days ago. I've been meaning to come on live. I think that was Friday, right? So we had the long weekend, and tomorrow yesterday I had to catch up with a lot of work, so I couldn't come on live. Let me see. I think 24th must have been. Yes, absolutely right. Yes, it came out on Friday. So here's what's happening. During the COVID, of course, everything shut down, and so they wanted to give a bit of grace to everybody, and so deadlines were not being strictly adhered to. So normally, when you file any type of U.S. immigration benefit, there are usually going to be 3 responses. 3. It's either a yes, a no, or well, a maybe. So a yes is an approval, a no is a denial, and then a maybe is an RFE or another type of response. An RFE is a request for evidence. So when you file a U.S. immigration benefit, you could get an approval, a denial, or a request to submit further information. And so normally when you are requested to submit information, they give you a deadline. So let's say you receive a notice of an RFE, and the issuance date of the RFE is, let's say, 10th October. That's when the USCIS puts the letter together. They will give you normally a time frame within which you have to respond to the request. Sometimes, 87 days for an RFE. And so during the COVID, what U.S. immigration, that's United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, was doing was that they were not strictly holding people to the deadlines that have been set for some of these the responses. So they said that, look, they are given an extra 60 days. So if you were supposed to submit your response within 87 days, they gave an extra 60 days, and that would be 147 days. Sorry, guys, my math is very rusty. So yes, I think so if you were given 87 days within which you had to respond to the request for evidence, you would be given an extra 60 days. So the news that came on Friday was that USCIS was extending further. So USCIS gave the extension of the 60 days, leeway. It was up until somewhere in June last year, June 2020. Then they extended it further, and now they are extending it all the way through to June 15th, 2022. So that's what we're going to be discussing, long and short. So if USCIS, sends you any type of request, and they are expecting a reply or a response from you, and the issuance on the listed request or notice or decision is between March 1st, 2020 and January 15, 2022, then you have an extra 60 days from the deadline that has been provided, okay? And when they say inclusive, of course, it means that January 15, 2022 is inclusive. So if there's a decision that is issued on January 15, 2022, and the request is dated January 15, 2022, that date also forms part of the the dates that are being extended. So if that request is dated January 15, 2022, it's also being extended for an extra 60 days for you to be able to properly respond to them. So yeah, that's it. They just wanted to assist applicants and requesters who were responding to certain types of requests, you know, they wanted to take into consideration the fact that people were struggling. There was a lot of homeschooling, and, you know, people are working from home with kids. Some people, some health professionals and some other people are still not comfortable enough to they don't feel confident about taking their children to daycare and to school. So they are working home with them, and there's just a whole lot of craziness. People are sick with COVID. So, I mean, U.S. immigration, sometimes once you have the letter and then you are struck with COVID, you know, maybe for some 30 days, it leaves you with very limited time to respond to U.S. immigration. So that extra 60 days is supposed to be like a buffer, or to help you to get your stuff together and then respond to them, you know, all because of COVID. COVID has some benefits in a way, because a lot of the times people are able to respond, but it gives them some more flexibility. They're able to, sometimes people have to request evidence from abroad, like Ghana, from Nigeria, from overseas. And you know how tough it is to get some of these documents from some of our government agencies abroad. So this extra push helps to give people the chance to get documents, signatures, copies, and originals, you know, put together to be able to send to U.S. immigration for adjudication of their U.S. immigration application. So, so requesters, petitioners and requesters who are responding to these types of things fall within the extension, okay, the COVID extension, the COVID response extension. So number one, if you've been sent a request for evidence, then of course, and it's dated March 1st, 2020 to January, and it's dated, you know, between March 1st and January 15, 2022, then you have the 60-day extension in addition to the deadline that you've been given. So this is good. This is really, really good. So continuations to request evidence, that's the N14. Continuation, yes, to request evidence, that's the N14 for the N400. When you're filing a citizenship application, sometimes you will be given a continuation so that you can request evidence to support your naturalization application. Then there's notice of intent to deny. When you are granted a notice of intent, when you are issued a notice of intent to deny, that means that they're about to deny your application and you need to submit more evidence, you know, to show that you actually deserve that benefit. So if you are given this, then you qualify for the extension of 60 days extra. Okay. And then there's a notice of intent to revoke. Also, well, not too good news, but the good news is that you are given an extra 60 days to respond to the notice of intent to revoke. If it's a notice of intent to rescind, they are just about to rescind whatever you know, that you have been issued, or whatever determination that has been made. So you have extra days to respond to that as well. And then there's notices of intent to terminate regional centers, and then motions to reopen an N400 pursuant to 8 CFR 335. That's a receipt of derogatory information after grant. So if you have been, if they have found some type of bad information to you after a grant of citizenship, then you know, they'll issue a motion to reopen an N400 based on that derogatory information. Sometimes people will be granted U.S. citizenship and then they find out that, you know, they procured their green cards by fraud. So they'll issue the motion to reopen an N400 pursuant to the receipt of that bad information that they have received about you. So you have to always respond to these types of requests by U.S. immigration. And so thankfully, you've been granted an extra 60 days after the deadline if your document or the request was issued between the dates I've been stipulating, between March 1st, 2020 and January 15, 2022. Okay. So also, if you had to file an I-290B, which is an appeal, a notice of appeal, normally you have 30 days within which to file a notice of appeal or a motion. However, there's been an extension of that as well. Also, the N336, that's a request to for a rehearing, for a hearing on a decision of naturalization. So if you filed an N400, that's an application for citizenship, and then that application to become a U.S. citizen was denied, and then you are trying to appeal the decision of your denial. You see, you apply for U.S. citizenship and it's been denied. You can file an N336 to request a hearing on a decision. So it's sort of an appeal for naturalization, an appeal for U.S. citizenship. So if you are trying to do those, then you need to make sure that the form was filed up to 60 calendar days from the issuance of a decision that they made. So instead of 30 days for N336 and I-290B, they are giving you an extra 60 days from the date of the decision. Normally, as I said, it's 30 days, but you've been given an extra 30 days for that. And then you need to make sure that the decision for the the underlying petition was made between March 1st, 2020 and January 15th, 2022. Then you'll be given the extra 30 days when it comes to the issuance of decision with these types of application, like the N336, if you're trying to appeal a U.S. citizenship application. Okay. Then, yeah, that's it. That's when the flexibility applies. Let me scroll down. I think that's it. Today's, of course, going to be very, very short as usual, but we've done 11 minutes already. Yep, that's almost the end of the document. Yep, right here. So let me increase this and then I'll read comments and chat with you guys a little bit before I jump off. Okay, so the response date, as I said, the response due date, you always have a response due date when you receive an RFE. The first thing to look at, well, one of the first things to look at, of course, is when is the response due to U.S. immigration, or you receive a NOID, that's a notice of intent to deny. How soon do they expect me to submit a response? Because if you submit a response outside of the stipulated time, your application is going to be denied. So that you have a deadline you are working with. So you need to make sure that if you have documents to gather, things to submit, you start to do them within the deadline, and then make sure that they have received the response before the deadline. Okay. So you always have a response due date. And so if there's a response due date, you can add 60 calendar days after the response due date set in the request or notice before the USCIS will take any action. So additionally, they will also consider a form N336 or the form I-290B that's received up to 60 calendar days from the date of the decision before the USCIS will take any action. Okay. So guys, that's it. That's the good news, wonderful news that came on Friday. So yes, if you have any type of response you have to issue back to the USCIS, you need to take note of all these things and make sure you are within the timeline that has been graciously offered to you. Let me read some comments. Mr. Francis Gharbin, yes, he's marking his attendance. Thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Francis Gharbin says, I see. It's good you see. I'm so happy that I'm bringing some clarity. And then Basirahmad Ahmady says, hello. Basirahmad Ahmady. I hope I'm saying the name well. Olamide Adebayo says, well done, beautiful attorney. Olamide, I really appreciate all your support and your presence here on this live video. Johnny Richard Nelson-Eshun says, glory. Thank you so much for joining. Mr. Francis Gharbin says, COVID-19 is a blessing in disguise. I agree in a way. Yes. It has its blessings and it has its moments too. It's really bad moments too. Like sometimes when you're wearing the mask and you can barely breathe, it's like, where did this thing come from? Like we just need some space to breathe, right? And then Kofi Sapong says, good work. Thank you so much, Kofi. Really appreciate your presence here. Mr. Francis Gharbin again marking his attendance. Okay, guys, so that's it. We just came to talk to you about this, trying to respond to requests by the U.S. government. That's the USCIS. That's the agency that is responsible for handling U.S. immigration. If you need help with trying to respond to an RFE, a NOID, a notice of intent to rescind, notice of intent to revoke, any type of response or appeal, decision, denial, if you have a denial also, I mean, just make sure you reach out. If you need our assistance, 802-7800-561. We'll be very, very happy to help you with that. Mr. Francis Gharbin says bye. Yes, yes, yes. Bye-bye, guys. So I will see you guys hopefully soon and in the next video. So until then, please take care, be safe, and be good. All right. Bye-bye.